Hey guys, welcome in. Welcome to Life on Mars. 30 books, 30 weeks. We're on week 4, day number 6. Yeah, day number 6 of this little treasure right here. Codependent no more. Anybody got some codependency issues? I used to. Hey Marcel, how are you? So 30 books in 30 weeks. As you guys come in, feel free to share this live stream out, invite some other people to join us. It's a great topic. It's an important subject matter because it affects a great deal of the population and they may not even know it. So tonight we're going to talk about the prince you kissed was really a frog. So it's going to be a good topic. For those of you, if you're just joining for the first time, you're not familiar with me or the work that I do, my name is Marcy Batiste. I am a public speaker, an author, and I am a personal recovery and success coach. Basically, what I really, really enjoy and what I'm super passionate about is helping women shine, helping them discover and embrace what I call their star power. And to that point, I also have a company called Bankable Success Advisors, which is a leading recovery solutions provider. And what Bankable Success specializes in is helping individuals and businesses truly optimize their personal, professional, time, and emotional investments so they can get the best return on that investment. And so that's what 2018, we're talking about raising the bar on all of that stuff. And so I thought for the personal development reading series, I started it a few months ago, and I wanted to take it to the next level for 2018. And what I realized was that if we invested a week in each of the subject matters of various forms of personal development, that I could have the opportunity then to share some really important tools and strategies with all of you that you can then put in your toolbox, store them away, and then hopefully if the situation arises, you think, hey, I remember that Lady Mars talked about that on a video, and be able to either go to my YouTube channel or back to Facebook. It's probably easier to find them on my YouTube channel and review the topic. And then you can always inbox me too. So to that point, like I said, we're talking about codependency this week. The reading selection, the personal development book, it's called Codependent No More. It's by Melody Beattie. It's a game changer if you have codependent tendencies in relationships. That was me. I'm gonna hold both hands up. That was me years and years ago. And I had to be very strategic in healing and curing my codependency. And that started with curing my emotional bankruptcy, which is why I am super, super passionate about curing emotional bankruptcy with all of my clients. And so we look at the whole person, the whole woman specifically, because you can't separate the woman from the business and the business from the woman and vice versa. It all kind of goes together. So we're on day 6. We've talked about anger. We've talked about bargaining. We've talked about all sorts of aspects of codependency. And today I want to talk, so we're moving sort of, as we're closing out this week, we're moving towards the healing phase, which, as you guys know, as a recovery professional, that's what's important to me, is that not so much what your issue is, what your struggle is, what your obstacle is, but is there a way that I can serve and offer you a solution that will help you find a recovery to whatever obstacle it is that you're facing. So you kissed a frog. Thought the frog was a prince, or in some cases a princess, because as I've shared all week, codependency is not a woman's issue. There are many, 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 many codependent men who are involved with and involved in super, super toxic codependent relationships. So maybe your prince was a frog, maybe your princess was a frog, but in either case, you kissed a frog, and now you're feeling kind of messed up because now you're trapped in this relationship. And the whole frog analogy as it relates to codependency kind of comes from the premise that, you know, the Cinderella story kind of thing. Like if Cinderella, I love this quote. This is a quote from the book. And I'm saying if it was Cinderella, if Cinderella was a codependent, this is probably what she would say. I'm gonna see if I can find this quote for you guys. It's super, super cute. But it's talking about really how we see other things in other people when we're codependents. And so we see the prince, we don't see the frog. And so here's the quote. It says, when Prince Charming does come along, I'll probably be down at the pond kissing frogs. That would be Cinderella if she was codependent, right? And so basically for codependency, the codependents have a tendency to kind of morph into sort of whatever they need to be. They'll become whoever they need to be. They'll become whatever they need to be in order to serve either their own addiction to the codependency and to their subject, or to the subject's addictions. And so that's that whole enabling process that we talked about earlier in the week. And so that's the kissing the frog until you kind of become the frog type of mentality. And the thing about codependence is it's not a bad quality if it's managed well, in that we tend to see the good in people. We tend to we want to see the prince. That's what we see. We see the prince. But so you kiss frogs because you see the prince, and then the more frogs you kiss, the more frogs you attract, and the more frogs that you attract, then the more frogs that you are attracted to, and eventually it's like you find a way to convince yourself that somewhere, if I kiss enough frogs, eventually I'll get to the prince. Like, codependency is not a numbers game. It's an addiction game. And that's what we have to understand. Like, you can't just beat the odds out of codependency. You have to be strategic in seeking a solution, a recovery solution for it. It's like an illness. It's like an addiction. And that's the best way to, and it's big, like if you think of it as co-addictions, that's really what codependency kind of amounts to. And so, what I want people to understand, and this was hard for me to get even when I was struggling heavily with codependency, was that just because it's a frog and you see the prince doesn't mean you have to jump in the pond with them. You have the choice to stay on the edge. You have the choice to stay on land. You don't have to jump headfirst in with the frog in search of the prince. If there's a prince in that pond somewhere, trust me, he's coming out. You don't have to dive in and go looking for it. And the same thing with your princesses. And as codependents, we tend to just kind of go all in because we want to be that fixer, and that's that whole enabling piece. And then when you start struggling with the recovery and you go through the anger and the bartering and the bargaining and the blaming and, all of the processes that we've talked about all this week. And then really this is kind of what it comes down to. Like, this is the heart of the addiction. It's because we see the good. We want to believe the good, and we want to fix it, and we think we can make it better. And so that's then how that cycle tends to perpetuate itself. So if I could give you one recovery solution, that would be boundaries, and healthy, strong boundaries. That's your best defense to codependency. And really, when you think about boundaries, a lot of people, you hear the term, but you don't really know what it is. And basically, boundaries is just you being able to communicate what your limits are. This is what I'll go for. This I won't go for. This is what I'll tolerate. This is what I won't tolerate. This is what I'll do for you. These are the things I won't do for you. These are the things I expect in return for, whatever, however you want the relationship to look, however you want in my case, my thing was, I just wanted to be happy. And so I had to set boundaries for relationships with other people that allowed me to be happy. And so a lot of times, for those of you who follow me, you hear me say stuff like, I'm sold out to my happiness. I just did a post today, experience life unedited. Like that to me is, those are my beacons in the middle of the ocean, right? That's what I'm going towards. I'm always going towards my happiness. And so I didn't have a problem once I made this connection to set boundaries that were in support of the things that were going to make me happy. And boundaries, learning to set good boundaries, learning to, more importantly than setting them, but learning to honor them and be in defense to them. Hey, Anthony, of course I'm rocking the Broncos. Of course I'm rocking the Broncos. But you're being able to honor your boundaries, and then being able to support and defend them, because people will challenge them, particularly when you're in a codependent relationship. The subject that you are in relationship with we teach people how to be in relation with us. I know you guys have heard me say that over and over and over and over again. We teach people how to be in relation with us. So when we're codependent, we enter into a relationship, we teach that person, even if they didn't come into it with a codependent status, we teach that. We can breed that when codependency is part of who we are, and we haven't cured our own emotional bankruptcy to then address the codependency. So if you're teaching someone how to be in relation with you, the best thing you can do is have boundaries that support the kind of relationship that you want to see, and being unapologetic for it. Like I said, for me, it's about being happy. It's about being able to experience life. It's about being able to live free and live in an authentic and genuine way, where if it's something I don't really want to do, I don't do it. I set certain boundaries, like every 6 months, I kind of reevaluate relationships. I reevaluate friendships. I reevaluate business relationships. I reevaluate organizations I'm involved with. And that's one of my boundaries. If at that point of review, it's no longer serving my greater good, it doesn't feed my soul, I'm not getting anything back out of it, but I'm giving and pouring out, then I have to take a second look at that engagement, at that relationship, because it might not be for me anymore. And it doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't ever for me. It just means as we grow and we change, particularly as we're on a personal development journey or a healing journey, in many cases, you're not the same person 6 months later that you were 6 months prior. A lot of growth can happen. A lot of change can happen. A lot of life can happen in 6 months. And so that for me was, I felt like 3 months was not long enough to really assess. And a year was a little bit too long, because I realized, like, at my age, I don't have that kind of time to waste. I don't want to waste a year of life that I could be investing. And so 6 months for me was kind of that happy medium point where, like, okay, if I give it 6 months, I can see, like, this is going in the right direction. It gives me an opportunity, if I see things straying off, to be able to kind of coach and teach through it. Like, no, this is how I'd like to see it. And this is what I'm willing to compromise on. This is what I'm willing to contribute. This is what I'd like to see you contribute, and so forth and so on. And that's how building those boundaries work. So that's the first and most paramount recovery tool to put in your toolbox, is to learn to set healthy boundaries for the type of relationship that you want to have. And then the second one we talked about the other day, and that's just to seek help, because battling and recovering from codependency can lead to depression. And so we invested some time, I think on today's Saturday, I think it was Thursday. It was Thursday night. I think that we talked pretty at length about the impact of the result of depression as part of the healing process for codependency. So boundaries, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's people out there that can help you. They're not going to judge you. They're not going to make you feel like you're crazy or that you're somehow inferior, anything like that. There's people like me Like, we're in this business because, for me anyway, I know better is possible. So if better is possible, let's go for it. Better is possible if you have the tools, basically. Michael Jordan wouldn't go practice basketball without a basketball. You got to have the tools. So that's my message for tonight. It's Saturday night. Go enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be back tomorrow night when we wrap up Codependent No More for week 4. And I will share the book selection for next week, which will be week 5. Can't believe we're already heading into 5 weeks into 2018. But enjoy the rest of your weekend, you guys. As always, I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for living life on Mars. I'm out. Talk to you soon.